So, as you guys could clearly see, Israel is being pushed by Hashem into literally doing what needs to be done. Folks, I'm not a prophet, but I've been saying this entire time, that if Israel doesn't do what needs to be done, Hashem is going to push us, push the Jewish people, push, yes, the Israeli government into what needs to be done. He's going to use a shliach called Trump. He's going to use a shliach called J.D. Vance, a shliach called Rubio, and two, guys called Kushner and Witkoff. He's going to do all of this stuff to really set the stage for Israel doing what needs to be done. Why? How is that so? Because we know, I'm sure Trump knows, I'm sure all these guys know, that the people that they're sitting across from do not hold up to their end of the bargain. Will not and do not. If they do anything, it's going to be partial. And they know that the minute they complete their end of the bargain, they're gone anyway. They're going to have to be gone. Folks, I said this many times and I'm saying it again. I'm going to say it until the cows come home, until Mashiach comes. The biggest tragedy that led to all of this was when the Israeli government, namely Ariel Sharon, pulled Jews out of their homes in Gaza, in Gush Katif, on the shores of Gaza. They called it, to give it this benign name so that everybody would accept it, they called it disengagement. They disengage, like unengage, like when you're engaged to be married, so then you unengage or disengage, or you disengage from like a plane or something like that, disengage from the mission. The disengagement, the hitnatkut, they called it, right? As if there was an engagement, somebody was engaging something, in whatever, I don't know, they called it settlement and whatever. Now we're going to disengage. Folks, there's no worse crime. And we know, how it's confirmed. I mean, we knew it was a tragedy either way, but you know how it's confirmed that it was a tragedy? Because it happened on Tisha B'Av. It actually was completed on the 10th of Av, but as you guys know, in the whole thing about Tisha B'Av is that the temple burned until midday on the 10th of Av. That's why we can't have, meat and wine until after Chatzot. And, shave and cut our hair, all that kind of things. So, of the 10th of Av, instead of the evening after Tisha B'Av. So, my friends, and by the way, slightly unrelated but maybe related, in 2004, a year before that, who spoke at the Democratic National Convention? He gave his first ever speech to America, basically, to the American public. And it was on Tisha B'Av, a year prior to that, exactly on the Hebrew calendar. Folks, none other than Barack Hussein Obama. And then 4 years later, a little over 4 years later, 4 years later, he was elected President of the United States. And we see the results here, my friends. So, it took them 18 years. They Hamas, the Palestinians, they threw rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets and rockets for 18 years. The Israeli government literally did nothing to help the people who were living in those areas. Sderot, all those kibbutzim that eventually got attacked, they did nothing. They had absolutely nothing, except for like Iron Dome. Folks, Iron Dome can't stop something. You have 15 minutes to get into a bomb shelter, okay? We know the story. So, culminated on October 7th. And here we are, folks. Now, over 20 years later. And again, the world wants to see what we're going to do. Are we going to take our Gaza back, my friends? Again, the most famous Shabbat song. Ya Ribbon Olam, written by Rabbi Israel Nachara, I think in the early 1600s. He was one of the chief rabbi of Gaza. Okay? No Shabbat meal goes without it. So, folks, Gaza's ours. It's historically ours. It is ours. It's part of Israel. You don't pull Jews out of their homes. I'm not even going to mention what happened to Ariel Sharon after he did that, right? We know the story. Those of us who know, we know. Okay? I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but, and it's not even my place to say if he deserved it or not. But the kids are big tragedy, guys, and led to bigger tragedies. And as we know, releasing one Jew for 1,000 in 2017, one of them was Yahya Sinwar, planned the October 7th massacre. And now, folks, we did the same. So now, but here's the thing, guys. Hashem is allowing us to rectify what we just did. Yes, we just released 2,000 of these orcs for 20 people. A little bit better of a ratio than the last time. In 2011 for Shalit, right? A little bit better. But here's the thing, guys. We have these bodies, and they haven't been returned. Just 1 second. Went dark a little bit. Yeah, they haven't been returned, and these guys have reneged on the deal, as we knew they would. And Hashem was pushing us, and now we're starting up again. And of course, we're starting up again. Now people, in certain circles and corners, not that I care, are accusing us of breaking the ceasefire, and they will, right? They don't care that we have our own dead bodies, that these orcs are returning body parts, pretending not to know where they are. All this kind of stuff, like sick, morbid stuff, guys. I'm walking here. Some of these houses have like depictions of literally looks like a cemetery in front of somebody's front lawn. It's as if they're having a contest who has the most morbid front lawns for Halloween. But folks, what they have in Gaza is way more morbid than anything you could ever see on Halloween. So it's unthinkable, guys. And you know what? Again, Hashem is basically saying, what are you guys going to do? What are you guys going to do about this? Are you going to finish this? Are you going to take care of the problem? Are you going to take care of the problem? Something you should have done on October, 15th, 14th to 2023. We are now on October 28th, 2025. Folks, it's been way over 2 years. No matter which calendar you're looking at. So, my friends, that's a question. Are we going to celebrate Hanukkah with besimcha, with completion, are we going to, God forbid we don't get the temple, we don't get to rededicate a temple, are we at least going to be able to rededicate, speaking of destructions, right? Rededicate something that we destroyed on Tisha B'Av, that we ourselves destroyed, not the Romans, not this, not that we ourselves dismantled and destroyed on Tisha B'Av in the modern era, which was Gush Katif, which was the Jews who lived in Gaza. Are we going to able to restore at least that by this Hanukkah, and maybe we'll just have a miracle, despite the world, what the world thinks, despite the what presidents, or where presidents are pushing us into vice presidents, secretaries of state, whomever, right? International courts, media, basically everybody, right? Even our own government, okay? So-called right wing. Are we going to do what needs to be done? Because, folks, as you've seen in history, 1967, 1973, all the, times, either we didn't want to do something and history thrust us into it because our enemies, pressed us into a corner, Or on the flip side, guys, when we try to offer our enemies everything they wanted, and Hashem put it into their minds to not accept what we're offering them, and instead to wage an intifada, a war on us, where we had to at least defend ourselves, and Baruch Hashem, we got to keep what we had to begin with. So, yeah, my friends, Hashem has a way of doing it His way. When we see that we're, not going to do what we're supposed to do the way He wants it, He's going to push us and push us and push us.